got engaged on my first date, studying eagles, flying in a little two-seater float plane on the western coast of Vancouver Island in Barclay Sound with a man I had known about 3 days. He picked me up in a restaurant on the eve of my departure back to Australia, where I was going to be a boring university professor with a signed contract for 5 years. So here I am in Vancouver earning some money before I caught the boat to go home for Christmas in a store, Dean's Restaurant on West 17th Avenue, somewhere like that, in Vancouver, and in a little frilly dress. I wasn't used to in 1962 wearing little frilly dresses with little frilly caps. So there I was, a very bad waitress, and slinging coffee, and this tall, dark, handsome man came in to the restaurant and asked me out on a date. And I said, well, I was trying to put him down, but I did have a good reason, because I had just been, my last weekend in Canada. I'm going home to Australia on the boat in 3 or 4 days to take up this job at university, and I said, I've already got a date this weekend, sir. I happen to be going in a friend of a friend's float plane, their private float plane, to their private island on the west coast of Vancouver Island. And he said, so, you can beat that. Why don't you come to my private island, in my private float plane, and count bald eagles? David asked me to get together and go eagle, because the 50th anniversary of our first date, to go eagle watching, and I was going to do that, but his fifth wife didn't think it was a cute idea at all, and so we didn't go and we didn't do it. But the upside was that in that very year, 50 years anniversary of the first date, eagles nested in my backyard here in Lanceville, British Columbia, on Vancouver Island. And this is the fourth year now that they've been nesting. But he's kind of different this week. He hasn't been around so much. See that flat place up there? That's where the nest is. But there's no eagles there at the moment. In the morning, they fledged about 4. It fledged about 4 o'clock in the morning last week. I watched them as little babies, and then I saw their heads above the nest, and then I saw them flapping their wings and learning to fly, and they practice with their wings, and this is about 1 week, 2 weeks, but I never saw that this year. I just saw that one eagle that survived suddenly there, no build-up. And then a week later, it's flying past here at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. And I have seen it twice since then, morning and evening, getting fed by the parent fish, but I don't see it there for the rest of the day. So where is the eagle? So chance and coincidence play a lot in my life. You know, it's because of eagles that I'm here in British Columbia in the first place, otherwise I'd still be a rich retired speech and drama teacher at the University of Western Australia in Perth. Let's go and see if the eagle's back.
Okay.
Here it comes and goes. Oh, it's gone now. Well, it was here a little while ago. It comes and goes. It goes fishing. It goes fishing. I told you how I got to Canada through eagles by going on my first date counting eagles, and I managed to survive the airplane test, which was his test for a bride. We were studying eagles in Barclay Sound, and I was with my assistant that time. David was out in the boat somewhere, and he would climb into the nest trees, 150 feet, 200 feet up fir trees, and he was a mountain climber. He was a tree climber, and he would go up and he would measure the birds, the eagles in the nest, and I would be in the bottom at the tree. It's not like ground. You don't know where the ground is because there's so much forest. There's so many trees. So very unlike Australia. And so my job was to collect the droppings and the feathers and anything that looked eagle. And he said, Lyn, he said, from the top of the tree, he said, through the thick undergrowth, and there's a forest. And so he said, Lyn, you can climb this tree. Come up and sit in the nest. I said, oh yeah, sure. I called up. I fear heights. No way I'm going to get up 150 feet up a tree. I can't climb. Well, he insisted that I go up. And it was me getting to the top of that tree. I had a belt around me, and I had a rope, yes, but you have to go in and out of branches, and I followed him up the tree, and somehow I got around the top of the nest, because the nests stick out over the trunk. I got around and over and inside the eagle nests, and there were 2 eaglets, but they were ready to fledge, ready to go away, leave the nest and fly. They've been doing their wing exercises, but they're as big as they ever will be. So it's just like imagine the size of 2 adult eagles, and they were these 2 birds, baby birds, oh yeah, and I was sitting in the nest with them. And I didn't have my camera, and he didn't have a camera, and so I wanted a picture of me sitting at the top of a 150 feet tree with 2 eagles in my arms. He said, well, I'll go and get a camera. So he goes down, and he has a lot of trouble with himself. The motor breaks down. He has to walk 9 miles to get to a logging camp to be able to get to the camp, to get to the nest, etc., etc. And it's dark by the time he comes back, midnight. And he has to get me down the tree, so there wasn't any taking of photos. But I spent 9 hours in that eagle's nest. So William Collins saw that story, and the book editor of the Victoria Colonist sent him that story, and I came home from a trip with David to Triangle Island, and I was dirty, and I'd been 6 weeks under a curtain of seabird droppings, and I come home, and there is first-class tickets to Toronto to meet him, and I go to a hotel, I think it was the Four Seasons, something like that, and to meet Sir William Collins, who had, and he wanted me to write a book on eagles.